As Canadians, we have the extraordinary privilege of living in a mature democracy. We benefit from strong institutions that allow different views to be expressed. We must continue to protect the public space in which our national debates take place, from schools and universities to the media, to political parties, unions, and civil society organizations, from theaters, concert halls, and museums, to courtrooms and the floors of our legislative assemblies. The peaceful management of our differences is nowhere better expressed than in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
The CBC's Janice McGregor has been watching the day unfold. She joins us live from Ottawa. And so, Janice, we saw lots of formality and tradition in the ceremony and a strong speech by Louise Arbour. What did that tell us about how she may approach this job?
Yeah, what a privilege, Andrew, to have had a front row seat over the last couple hours to a number of ceremonies and rituals that have really embodied how Louise Arbour's long CV of history of service in a number of different fields, legal and international, really prepared her for this moment and really foreshadowed perhaps the kind of approach she's going to take to being Canada's 31st Governor General. A couple of things stand out, starting with how the day began as she arrived, the First Nations drumming and the sight of her standing side by side with outgoing Governor General Mary Simon. A powerful symbol inside the ceremony as well during Louise Arbour's installation speech, where she paid tribute to the remarkable service of Mary Simon. And we saw those in the room give Mary Simon a standing ovation, a rather emotional moment. But it didn't stop there. Louise Arbour went on to kind of grab with both hands what had been sort of a mission for Mary Simon, the idea of reconciliation, talking about how reconciliation is a lifelong journey, one that requires empathy. She talked about needing to listen to voices who challenge your understanding of history, who maybe are speaking languages unfamiliar to you, and the need for Canadians going forward to embrace a future where Indigenous peoples are no longer cast aside, kind of encapsulating, really, I think, in a lot of ways, the legacy of her predecessor, but building a bridge and signaling that that work is going to continue under this Governor General too. And you played, just before you came to me, that clip of Louise Arbour talking about the Charter. Of course, if there is a critique of her in some parts of the country, it would be those who have perhaps disagreed with some of her past judicial decisions, seen as kind of having an expansionist view of the Charter. She spoke directly to the issues of divisions in this country. And I think the section of the speech you're about to hear, really one targeted at Canadians who perhaps may disagree with her on certain points, but also a call for people to come together in some dialogue at this moment.
Extreme polarization is dangerous, but so is extreme consensus. It is through our differences and our fundamental right to express them that we will nourish critical thinking, creativity, and innovation. It is through our differences that we will build a common future.
I think the other powerful image that's going to stay with me took place here at the National War Memorial, where we saw her inspect the Honour Guard, the first of many times when, as Governor General, she will be playing the role of the Commander-in-Chief for the Canadian Armed Forces, after a speech in which she reflected on the need to modernize the armed forces, talked about them as being exporters of security. Of course, her CV includes a review done of the institutional culture of the military and making recommendations for strengthening it going forward. The sight of her standing there with her two grandsons. After a message to Canadians inside the installation ceremony, really a call to action for Canadians to work together to build the country strong, and a specific message for the youth of Canada and their role in the future of this country. I don't think you could miss the imagery or the poignancy of the moment to see her standing there with the young members of her own family as she begins this period of service.
That's an absolutely interesting insight into this special day. How might Arbour complement what the Carney government is trying to achieve over the next couple of years?
Right, because this is Mark Carney's pick, right? And in his remarks, I was really struck by how he used the place where all this was happening, the Senate of Canada building, to kind of anchor continuity in Canada's democratic institutions as a theme, talking about how, here at the end of the Rideau Canal, this is something used for commerce and trade and security. The old railway station where the Senate now sits, once a place where Canada's young men went off to fight in the First World War, where Winston Churchill arrived to inspire Canadians during the Second World War. Of course, then that poignant throne speech from King Charles himself just over a year ago now at the very start of Mark Carney's government. Here's a little bit more from the Prime Minister.
Throughout Canada's history, whenever the world's fortunes were threatened, Canadians have chosen to step up and assert ourselves as a sovereign, ambitious, and compassionate nation. We are once again living through one of those hinge moments of history, which is why, a year ago, His Majesty King Charles came here to open Parliament, which is why respect for our institutions is vital.
And of course, civics class time, the role of the Governor General, the representative of the King, the Crown here in this country, is to stay above the politics of the day. But it will be interesting to see how Mark Carney might intend to use Louise Arbour's relationships around the world, her long experience, her savvy to do perhaps some soft diplomacy to advance the goal of making, as the Prime Minister said, Canada strong but good.
Janice, thank you. The CBC's Janice McGregor live in Ottawa.